Phantom Bride of Cedarville Road in Syracuse, New York, best known as its nickname, 13 Curves. Popular legend begins over 60 years ago when a newly married couple was traveling down the road on their wedding night when they lost control of their car and crashed in a nearby creek. The couple was killed instantly, and since that night, many people traveling the road have reported witnessing a woman in white. Sometimes the woman is wandering the road with an orange lantern. There are also reports of a woman soaked in blood and leaping out in front of passing cars, causing the unsuspecting drivers to crash. The legend of the Phantom Bride of 13 Curves has been reported numerous witnesses over the last few decades, showing that there is something to this urban legend. So when you're traveling the 13 Curves on Cedarville Road at night, watch out. The beautiful Landmark Theater, located in downtown Syracuse, hosts special events, movies, and fantastic Halloween parties. But this theater also has its share of real ghosts haunting the theater. The most famous spirit that haunts the theater is Clarissa, or Claire. She was an actress with two versions of her death. In one of them, she was in the balcony when she saw Oscar, her beloved, being electrocuted. This caused her to faint and fall over the railing. In another version, Clarissa wasn't chosen for a part in a play. This caused her to throw herself from the balcony and committing suicide. You can tell when Clarissa is around by the scent of lilacs. She enjoys making her appearance to the living at the most unexpected times and locations.
This is a picture taken from the stage here, and when you guys go amongst your tour and do what you got to do, I want you to take a look at that lamp up there. That is a Tiffany lamp. That was in the Vanderbilt estate. It's right up there. Okay? That lamp is brought down twice a year. It literally takes 40 hours to clean it. That's how delicate it is. So, and it's got a crank that goes up above, and there's a crank that goes over by the wall, and they bring it down, and it literally takes them 40 hours to clean that. There's so many little nuances in this theater, and as you go around and do your ghost hunt tonight, your tour guides will be filling you in, okay? This is a picture taken from this stage up there, and I don't know if you can see it or not, okay? Can you see this right here? It looks like a person. And there's one theory about the woman who haunts this place. Her name is Clarissa. And when I moved here, I heard that Clarissa was a worker that was up on the balcony, and she saw a loved one get electrocuted on stage by the Westinghouse, which used to be over here. Now, the Westinghouse was this great big, huge, monster, gigantic electrical board that controlled all the lights for the theater, and supposedly a loved one got electrocuted. She was up on the balcony, she ran, she fell over the balcony and died. There's another theory is that Clarissa was a frustrated actress who always hung around here, and she was not that talented, so she stays here because she still thinks that she's going to get a job. So I'm going to do a close-up on this one so you can see. Can you see her? You can see it looks like kind of a hand right there. I think that's not Clarissa because if you look at the guardrail right there, that guardrail goes up to about your knees. I think that's a child. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some EVPs that we got here. And the first one is my investigator is calling for Claire, and you hear a man say, Clarissa. I said Clarissa. That was taken with one of the very first digital voice recorders, and it's gotten so much better. The next one is, one of my investigators was talking about how we had taken a dummy and put it in what Clarissa's known to wear, and we threw the dummy off the balcony. This investigator actually thought we were throwing a real-life person. She's a nice girl, not too bright. And what you're going to hear is my other investigator saying, no, 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 we're just going to throw the dummy over, and then you're going to hear the EVP go, all right.
I think that's what they want to do with all of the well, you know, they want to make a ball. Getting the dummy in the trash, throw the dummy over.
And then when we threw the dummy over, you're going to hear a woman say they saw the death. And then we ask, did you fall off? And you hear, I fell off. Now the next one, people complain that when Clarissa shows up, that the smell of lilacs will permeate the area. My investigator talks about how he smells lavender, and then you're going to hear the woman say, no, lilacs, and then you're going to hear the EVP say, lilacs.
You can smell it. Lavender? No, I haven't.
Now this one, I'm saying Caroline and Pam are standing down there, and then the EVP says everybody's dead. Caroline and Pam are standing down there. I don't know what she's talking about. I think they're alive. And my investigator asked, perhaps you can tell me the name of the performance you attended, and then the EVP says, we are dancers in the shows.
Perhaps you can tell us the name of the performance you attended.
Now this, we use a flashlight a lot when we investigate, and the EVP says the lights are on when it turns. Now this is interesting. We often get children here and we don't know why. This was an EVP that was caught right here in the theater. We were alone, and you're going to hear a child go, no, no, no. And then just a few minutes later, he giggles. This was taken, one of my investigators were way up in the balcony, they're out of breath, and he says, oh, we're all out of breath here. Yes, we're all dying, and then you're going to hear a woman say, stop her.
Okay, recording, all dying, out of breath.
Yes, we are all dying here.
Now this next EVP is kind of interesting. We got it a few years ago, and my investigator, they had just had a party here, and they had empty kegs all lined up, and he's walking around going, keg, 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 and then you hear this word hooch. This kind of disproves the theory that we're psychically impressing our thoughts, because he called me up to find out what hooch meant, and that's a prohibition term meaning alcohol. When the theater was first set to be torn down, there was a homeless man and his dog that lived downstairs in the boiler room. And the group of people that asked to save the theater had asked him to stay on, to keep an eye on the place until they could start staffing the theater. He lived here for about a year. He lived downstairs in the boiler room. And about 6 months after he'd taken this over, his dog died. And then about 6 months after that, he died. This was an EVP caught by one of my investigators in the boiler room, and it's just a very loud dog bark. And this last one is we're talking about the reason why we videotape ourselves doing EVP, and you're going to hear a gentleman at the end go, well, that's just fine.
So we're trying to make sure that if we're sitting still and something happens, it's on tape that nobody got up and went and did it so that the audio would pick it up.
That's fine.
On July 2nd, 1918, due to a machinery malfunction, a fire broke out within the factory. The fire was unable to be stopped and spread to a flammable chemical stored within the building. This led to a massive explosion that destroyed the factory, as well as damaging nearby buildings. In total, close to 50 people lost their lives in this tragic explosion. This explosion did not stop the production of the explosives at the munitions plant, and it continued to remain operative throughout the rest of the war, and was later used as a maintenance station for the New York State Department of Transportation before it was abandoned in the 1980s. The tragic past of the Split Rock Quarry continues to make its presence known. Even though the quarry has been closed for 20 years, it's been the site of regular paranormal investigations. Documented sightings have been strange green and blue lights, as well as seeing apparitions of those killed during the explosion.
The souls of the dead, getting high and going to 13 curves, where she still dons that long white fancy dress, the wailing banshee that roams these roads. It's true, you know, she told me so a long time ago. On this very road, they robbed me of my love, chained my soul to this treacherous stretch of road, the 13 curves of woe. I just felt lost. My first thought was the sauce, but I was hanging from an upside down cross in the middle of a forest fire. The one thing I remember as the most bizarre is how she left me with that scar right on the heart of a 5-pointed star. A long time ago, on this very road, they robbed me of my love and chained my soul to this treacherous stretch of road, the 13 curves of woe, the 13 curves.